What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It is great to be here with all of you on Tuesday, March 16th in the year 2021, 4:03 p.m. here on the East Coast. We are live today. It's been a little bit of time since we've done that, but as always, joined alongside Gavin Tony. If you can't tell by his sweatshirt, which reads UConn for those who may have trouble seeing it in the camera, yes, we are just 2 days after Selection Sunday. Yesterday, the women's, of course, being finalized as well. We have a lot to go over today. It is Joel Embiid's birthday. We have to talk about his injury. We'll touch on that a little bit. And then, of course, we'll break into March Madness. And then, of course, why not? We'll give you all a little cherry on top, a little more than what the description explains. We'll give you some predictions for the Sixers game tonight, as well as the New York Knicks had a very good game last night against Brooklyn. Unfortunately, coming up short, Julius Randle, I'm not sure what he was trying to do there. And I have to say it before we do continue, because Gavin got me on this last time. The Lakers, once again, taking care of the Warriors easily in regulation. But before we get to any of that today, before I get Gavin to respond, let me get him in a good mood first. I know he's not in the best mood, especially after what I just said. UConn is the 1 seed for the women's tournament. Now Gavin's going to be more happy. Gavin, how are you doing today?
Sir, listen, I'm all right. I'm not in the best of moods today. Listen, Zach, you're trying me with that Lakers comment. We'll talk about. But Zach,
James triple-double.
Zach, we got both men's and women's in the tournament. Zach, we know where the women stand. Number one, Zach, the men, they're not the worst. We got book night. I'll let Trent ramble about that. But Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Look, it's been warmer out. I've been playing as much golf as I can. I'm not sure if you can really tell, but I'm starting to get my tan. It's only March, and I was reminded of that when I went to the course today because it was 35 degrees. Shot a personal best 82, so I'll take it. But
where'd you shoot the first time? Because Zach, it's been a while since we've been on here. So let's talk about your weekend.
I went first round out was a 97. I followed it up with a 96, and then today an 82. I had a much better day today. It was a struggle. I was playing more like how I should be playing today. Swings really coming along, but it was cold. It was very cold out. It felt good towards the end, but yeah. Well, welcome to March in Pennsylvania, where I think the expression is winter is in the morning. Fall is in the early afternoon, summer is the afternoon, and then, of course, fall is in the evening. So just accordingly. But I think that applies here pretty well. So between winter jackets and sweatshirts through the whole day. With that being said, Gavin, let's dive right into it. Let's start off with just recapping on the NBA since we've last been on. Joel Embiid, a scary fall on Friday. First of all, Sixers on a 4-5 game winning streak, including before the All-Star break. They've been killing teams because of their bench. But Joel Embiid, of course, suffering an injury with his knee. Not as bad as we initially thought. Did not look good at first. Expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks. The schedule is going to be somewhat tough. You got the Knicks tonight, sandwiched around the Bucks. Of course, the Knicks again next week. Gavin, I wouldn't laugh. I think that they possibly might drop one of these games to New York, possibly in the Garden. But in all seriousness, they gave some trouble last night to the Nets. But let's start off with the Joel Embiid. Of course, happy birthday to Joel Embiid. It is his birthday. Unfortunately, unable to play tonight with that knee injury. But Gavin, again, it was scary. But I think Sixers fans are breathing a sigh of relief today. Joel Embiid only expected to be out for 2 to 4 weeks with this knee injury.
Well, Zach, that goes to show how much he really means to the city of Philadelphia, how much he really means to his team. Zach, when he took the fall, I was extremely upset. And I was happy at the same time. Zach, this is why I was happy. And nobody in any shape or form happy about the injury. If he got hurt at All-Star break, that was always my biggest fear for Joel Embiid is going out there as All-Star break and then you get hurt. I would hate to see that. Because when you're playing a game that at the end of the day,
doesn't matter.
All right. You got hurt in a game that matters, Zach. We don't want to see you get hurt. Zach, when I saw that, I thought the season was over. Just like that. I said, well, we could definitely crown Brooklyn as champions, Zach, even though they're the favorite. But I still hold on to the Sixers. I still give them a little bit of hope to, because they are the 1 seed and, the path to the playoffs.
Second best record in the NBA behind Utah.
Exactly. Zach, when you saw that fall, it just looked like a common Joel Embiid fall. But I'll take it one step further. Every time Joel Embiid hits the deck, I think every Sixers fan holds their breath because it doesn't look good. And Friday, sure as hell, did not look great.
Joel Embiid suffered injuries throughout his career, early in his career specifically. Been in and out of the lineup his entire career and always has been, always will be at 7'2". But I think we were all holding our breaths the other night, especially more non-contact injuries, especially in the knee area, are dangerous. That's where the meniscus is, the ACL, the LCL, MCL. I mean, we can name all of these different ligaments in there that can be torn, that can be just partially torn. It doesn't matter to what extreme it was. And partially torn ACLs, even them take you out for the whole season. So glad to see that was not as severe of the case. But let's get to it now. Up to speed, of course, Sixers able to take care of business the past few nights. Ben Simmons the current leader easily in Defensive Player of the Year. I think everybody agrees on that right now. They go up tonight against a New York Knicks team that is probably pretty fatigued and probably pretty ticked off from last night. A lot of guys who usually will be in the lineup are out tonight. Alfred Payton's going to be out, and Austin Rivers also going to be out tonight. So I don't know. They gave the Nets a good run for their money last night, but don't be deceived. They were down by 20 at some point. They had to shoot themselves back into the game, and then the Nets made a lot of foolish mistakes. I expect a win tonight, even without Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Zach, I don't think this is going to be an easy win. This win is going to be a breeze, Zach. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a breeze. I see Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris getting the job done. You got to take care of your matchups. Listen, Zach, let's go back to last night real quick if I can. You're down by, what is that, more than 18, 20 points, right? You fight and you call back. Just for Julius Randle to have a mental breakdown and forget the rules of basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, when you jump in the air, you must either shoot or pass. There's no way you're landing unless you're
with the ball still in your hand.
Yeah, with the ball in your hand, unless you're grabbing a rebound. He said Kyrie Irving smacked the ball. Zach, I watched it like 50 times today on ESPN. When you watch First Take, Stephen A's obviously going to cry about it, so you're going to have to watch it. I didn't see Kyrie Irving hit the ball. So Julius Randle forgot the rule of basketball. That's what happened last night. There's nothing to be mad about. You messed up, Mr. All-Star. Zach, yes, Julius Randle and the Knicks are going to be mad tonight, but remember, this Sixers team is hot, and they're finding their identity. They're starting to realize that the big man is out. You have to step up. And there's no way they lose tonight.
Seth Curry had a good game the other night. The key matchup to watch will be Tobias Harris and RJ Barrett. I'll leave it at that. The ball was touched by Kyrie Irving, but the ball never left Randle's hand. If the ball had fully left his hand and it was tipped and it came back to him, it's kind of like you're grabbing a rebound. But the ball never left his hands, in which case, if you're Randle, you just got to shoot that and hope for a foul or just try to get it muscle it into the basket. But that's there's a type of it factor that a player has to have between an all-star and a superstar, and that's what no superstar would do that. Randle being an all-star, of course, giving him credit. He may have salvaged your New York Knicks. I do have to say, give him credit where it's due. But yes, a mental error for sure last night. With that being said, though, okay, Gavin, would
it be fair to say that he grazed it instead of actually touching? Because I think that was more of a graze than anything.
If the ball had left Randle's hands and he had then got control of it again and came to the ground, I can see it still being called an up and down, but after review, it would have been overturned and would have been Irving. I guess that'd be considered a block, something like that, deflection at least.
But remember,
and then it would have been Nets possession instantly, and then it would have went back to Knicks possession when Randle grabbed it again.
But remember, Zach, they did have a challenge. Oh, wait, no, they didn't, because they wanted to challenge when James Harden was double teamed. Why would you challenge that? I don't know why. Zach, that's such a good lesson to show. Don't waste your challenge on dumb things that obviously aren't, that don't matter. Okay, that was a game-altering play. The Nets end up getting 2 points, and you don't score after that anymore. It's a tough situation. If I look at Julius Randle, I say that's tough. Shoot the ball. Shoot it.
You just got to. With that being said, the New York Knicks right now at 500. They've played better, in my opinion, than their record shows. Sometimes the Sixers tonight, they're rivals when both teams are good. They have a chance to put the Knicks back under 500, which for Gavin will be very happy for them. And then the Sixers are on a back-to-back. They're playing Milwaukee tomorrow. We'll cover that when the time comes. But with that being said, Gavin, that wraps up our talk with the Sixers around the NBA. Of course, the LeBron James and the Lakers taking on and winning against the Golden State Warriors. You were worried about the Lakers because they were struggling without Anthony Davis, but Dennis Schroeder as well as Kyle Kuzma have been stepping up big time. And finally, one more nod I will give Steph Curry officially passing for the Warriors' all-time assist leader. Credit to him. Birthday was also the other night, so happy birthday to him as well. But yes, Los Angeles Lakers taking care of business against Golden State, who's been struggling as of late.
Well, Zach, first of all, you have to take that Kyle Kuzma statement back because he's not been stepping up. He's been doing everything but stepping up. He's actually been stepping down. Zach, he can't even hit the rim. He can't. He's airballing free throws, airballing three-pointers. Does Kyle Kuzma want to play basketball? Zach, I told you this in the summertime, a year ago. The year they got AD, I told you. I said, man, they really should have kept Brandon Ingram. Why? Because Brandon Ingram will be the better player than Kyle Kuzma. Zach, Kyle Kuzma had one nice year. You trade him away. You trade Brandon Ingram away. He looked like an all-star. I know he didn't, Zach, get into the all-star, but Brandon Ingram has been improving. Kyle Kuzma looks on a decline. So, LA, you messed up again.
He's been a role player. When you have a great like LeBron James, all you need is a couple of role players just to help out a little bit.
I mean, he's helping out. I mean, if it's hot in the stadium, he's giving out some nice air, some nice wind around to the people that are there. The very few.
Yeah, we'll see for sure. I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel right now with some of these Laker teammates. I guess anyone teammate of LeBron James, Gavin, is going to be quick to jump on. But in all seriousness,
Zach, think
what
about
about Steph and LeBron together for the All-Star game? Does that make you not like Steph anymore?
But once again, that's a game that doesn't matter. That game doesn't matter. Exactly. Yeah. I told you. I said I'm not rooting for LeBron James. I'm rooting for Steph Curry in that game. Root for everybody but LeBron. He had 4 points. That's your All-Star.
Like 5 minutes. He was smart.
That's your All-Star, everybody.
I mean, the game doesn't matter. Even you said it yourself. But look, in all seriousness, coming up after this, let's talk about it. March Madness is here. Why is it so significant? We did not have it last year. Let's be thankful for it. We'll break that all down as well as go over some of the key teams and more after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. We were doing this day in history all of last week. For those who kind of recall that was the Wednesday where the world started to shut down pretty much that Thursday, Friday, the Big East tournament was shut down. By the weekend, before Selection Sunday, the whole sports world was shut down prior to the entire world being shut down. The reason that it's so significant, they did do selections last year as a nod to the teams, but they did not proceed. The tournament that never was, the tournaments that never were. There are some sports that we saw come back. Golf started off early, NASCAR came back, and then later on we saw the NBA, we saw the NHL, we saw the MLB. For those sports, you know, the Lakers, Clippers, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen in the Eastern Conference? Is Miami going to be able to contend, right? Those were questions we had no idea about. Were we going to have a champion in 2020? Were the Dodgers going to finally come over the hump and win in 2020, which they did? Who's going to be able to take the Stanley Cup home in 2020? Those all were finished. Those were all done deals. One key sport, one key event, I guess you break it down to 2, never had that answer last season. And that was the NCAA's men's and women's basketball. Tournaments that a lot of fans love every year, whether or not people are basketball fans, everybody does a bracket. Everybody has fun with it. In elementary school, we did it. In middle school, when we first were given laptops, we were all watching the first day of March Madness in class, looking at the brackets. Our teachers were letting us watch it a little earlier than other times.
Some teachers were.
Some teachers were the exact opposite. But the bottom line is a sense of pride for a lot of players that became this year's NBA players had this opportunity of March Madness taken from them. For us, the fans, we had that taken from us. We know why it is. COVID is in the news every single day. By the way, speaking of that, if you can get your vaccine rollouts continue. Cases continue to decline. Keep an eye on that. Make sure you do your part. But yes, Gavin, I mean, our previous plug was a mask ad. COVID is still here. But this is the one thing as humans. You know how great humans are, and I know that it's been controversial the last year or so on some of those stances. But every sport finished. The NBA, the NHL, every sport finished. The only one that didn't, again, it's very time sensitive. It's called March Madness. Now let's push it back to July Madness. March Madness, only thing to not actually occur last year. The Players' Championship last year didn't occur. Of course, there were some events, but they finished the season. They know who won the U.S. Open. They know who won the Masters. So that's kind of my monologue. It's just great to have college basketball playoffs back. It's just a great feeling to have. Unfortunately for a team like Duke, who got disqualified because of a positive virus case, Gavin's favorite school, UConn, also being impacted by it as the head coach did test positive. This is the reason this is so significant, at least for me as a sports fan. This is the one significant event, one significant college sport that didn't finish last year, that went from having a hiatus to having an abrupt ending, unlike all the other sports.
Well, Zach, when you talk about, college basketball, you talk about, March Madness in general, a lot of these, men and women look forward to this time because that's when the whole national stage is on you. Zach, we didn't learn about John Morant until I want to say very close to the end of the year towards March Madness where he went on his little tear. We knew about Zion Wilson all year long, but then you had the guys like the Cassius Stanleys, the Kyle Guys, We didn't hear about those guys until you got into the March Madness tournament. By the way, Zach, I'll never forget Virginia for the year they lost in the first round. Okay, you guys ruined a lot of brackets, including mine. That's why I never picked Virginia ever again.
To go from losing to the 16 to winning the next year, that's a pretty good story.
That's unacceptable. They ruined my bracket, Zach. We'll leave it at that. They ruined my bracket. But all in all, it's like you just feel for those kids because you put all this time and effort in. Sometimes it's a one chance to to make a name for themselves, to showcase your talent on the main stage. And it was canceled. And not only was it canceled, there wasn't no reschedule. All right. And sometimes that was their only chance of making it. We talk about guys like Anthony Edwards and James Wiseman, who barely played, but Anthony Edwards in particular. That's why the number one pick of this last year's NBA draft was a toss-up between three guys because we didn't know we didn't get to see them on the main stage. If you don't watch Georgia basketball, we always know them for their football. If you didn't watch Georgia basketball, you didn't know who Anthony Edwards was. If you didn't watch Memphis or didn't know about Memphis, you didn't know who the heck James Wiseman was. And obviously, Zach, we know who LaMelo Ball is. He's been everywhere, all across the world, Lithuania, Australia, JBA, high school. We all know about LaMelo Ball, but it's just for those guys like Tyrese Maxey and the crew. We didn't know who they were because we didn't get to watch them. Now, Kentucky has national games, but for those that don't watch college basketball until now, you know who they were. So you were going in this draft blind. And for the NBA scouts that, may watch games here and there, but really pay attention to March, you didn't get to see it.
It was unfortunate for a lot of these guys. How these stories can fan out. Villanova once won as the 8 seed way back when. Of course, a few years ago they won as a 2 and then won as a 1. Anything can happen in these tournaments. Gavin even said it himself, and he sounded quite frustrated. I guess he had some significant money on the line.
I don't pick
the UMBC Chesapeake Retrievers beating the Virginia Cavaliers.
Listen, Zach.
And that was the year also Loyola Chicago got to the Final Four. That probably won some brackets.
Listen, with Zach, first of all, I'm not even going to talk about them. That was a magical run. I let that one slide. Right? I didn't have them. But Michigan, not Michigan. Well, they ruined my stuff too one year. But Zach, Virginia, I never picked Virginia ever again. Zach, when I was going through schools and applying to, someone suggested Virginia to me. I said, nah. I was like, they ruined my stuff. I'm not going. Not going. It's a personal vendetta.
It has nothing to do with the name Cavaliers? Doesn't remind you of any players?
Well, just like that has nothing to do with it, all right? We're never worried about LeBron James. He didn't go to college for our own word for it, so it doesn't matter. That Cavalier doesn't matter.
Well, Kobe Bryant didn't go to college either.
Well, Kobe Bryant's a legend, all right? There's a difference.
So LeBron James isn't a legend.
No, sir. Why are we getting?
All right, you know what? Look, you gotta get a little bits and pieces. I know we have to just sit down and do a full soundbite of the GOAT debate because I have some much more convincing evidence than you would ever think I could provide. But in all seriousness, yes, let's talk about some of the key teams. We'll start with the men's bracket before we get into Gavin's favorite. And we're talking about the women's bracket, of course, which we anticipate to be quite an exciting year this year. But let's take a look. A couple of the notable teams. Gonzaga is going to be in it at 26-0. Every year they get made fun of for their easy schedule. They're similar to a team like Clemson. You have Michigan at 20-4 being a 1. On top of that, you have Baylor being a 1. And then, of course, the final one is Illinois at 23-6, the weakest one. Gonzaga is a favorite for a lot of people, Gavin. Undefeated. However, the criticism, the easy schedule, playing nobody. I got to ask you, Gonzaga, how you feeling?
Zach, it's the same thing every year. Zach, it's Gonzaga's always in there. Elite 8 exit, Sweet 16 exit. I would never trust Gonzaga basketball because, one, they're easy schedule, and two, Zach, let's go back to Friday. BYU almost gave them a run for the money. And Zach, they were down by 20 points. Now, Jalen Suggs and the crew, they stepped it up. But in stuff like that in March Madness, that can't happen. That can't happen. Zach, look at Virginia. They lost to, I forget the team, but they ruined my bracket. Zach, if you go down to a team such as like a BYU who deserves their credit because they are good, but we saw Gonzaga be exposed for the first time. And when they can't run their quick offense, Zach, when they get the ball, they score within 5 seconds. That's how quick their offense is. They don't take more than 10 seconds. But when their shots aren't falling and they can't get into the paint easily, they struggle. I'm interested to see. And Zach, now you have to face real teams. we're going to see what Mark Few's teams really is about. And I don't believe in Gonzaga. Zach, I told our good friend Matt, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga gets busted in the second round of 32. I was calling first round exit, and then I had to calm myself. I was like, I gotta be more respectful than that. So I said second round exit. Zach, it's the same thing about Gonzaga basketball every year. We talk about them, they get the easy schedule, and then they blow up and they do absolutely nothing. They go back home.
I mean, that's the only difference I'd say between a team like them and a team like Clemson when it comes to football. Clemson doesn't have the hardest schedule of the year, but they've showed up. They proved they can win. So I can see Gonzaga making it to the Final Four. They are in my Final Four. I don't think they'll be able to win or even go to the final. I'll tell you my favorite right now off the bat is Baylor. I do like Baylor. I like that they're a younger team. I like that they have a lot of good pieces to them. Big 12 is competitive-ish when it comes to basketball. I think their schedule's been all right, and they have, 4 losses this year. They're the second strongest team in the that's a 1 seed compared to the other teams. Of course, you have Illinois, the weakest, and then you have, I believe it's what Michigan, double checking here. But, yeah, Michigan 20-4. So I think Baylor has a good shot. I think that it just depends on the route that they take. And, of course, it's basketball. It's one game, unfortunately. A team can be firing on all cylinders one game. That's why I like the series. Of course, you're not going to do that with this many teams. Anything can happen, but if all truths hold, there's no reason I believe that Baylor cannot pull it off, at least make a Final Four or potentially championship appearance.
Zach, Baylor was playing great basketball. They were undefeated until, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks ago when they finally lost. But they were going right behind Gonzaga. Arguably looked better than Gonzaga at one point. But Zach, I don't believe in Baylor that much as well. Zach, if I had to pick one, I would go with them. But that's another team that's up in the air. Zach, the only difference between them and Gonzaga is they actually played somebody and they lost. Unlike Gonzaga, who they played nobody and won every game.
Yeah, they just lost last week to Oklahoma State, who they beat a few weeks before. It's a tough gauge. I think it really is. But again, it's one game. I think that if you take a look at a team like Oklahoma State, who's had a good year,
Kate Cunningham,
currently ranked the 11th best team in the country. I mean, you meet them for a third time. I don't know what it looks like. They already split 1-1, unless they put another one. I'll double check their schedule. But I think Baylor is the best all-around team. They beat West Virginia, who's the 13th ranked. They beat Texas Tech, who's 21. They beat Kansas State. Of course, they lost to Oklahoma State. And then looking back on any other notables, they beat Texas Tech, who's ranked 21 right now. They've beaten legitimate teams this year. They haven't had a lollipop schedule, to say the least. But again, Gonzaga is undefeated. It's impressive for now. Question is how long is it impressive for? I'm just trying to see who any of their potential notable games are against. Not any teams I can see that are ranked. Pepperdine, San Diego, St. Mary's.
Oklahoma could give them a run.
They beat BYU at the 23 rank. They beat Virginia 15 rank. They beat Virginia quite well. So I don't know. I do buy the Gonzaga hype to an extent, but not to the extent as a championship team, possibly a Final Four appearance.
Zach, I buy them as, like I said, a second round exit or a Sweet 16 at best. Nothing else. Because when the competition gets harder and teams with higher ranks start to pull up in your house, what are you going to do? You can't just beat everybody. Okay, we saw what happened to that Duke team, Zach, where they ran into Michigan State, and Zach, I was mad about that because I like Zion Williamson. But you saw what happened. You can't just power through everybody. At some point, you will be beaten. You're going to show some weakness. BYU exposed it. Now a team that's a better ranked and better offensively can put you down.
Yeah, we'll see again. That Duke game was a heart crusher. I was at the Phillies game trying to watch it on my phone. That was a very talented team. They were kind of destined for the championship. That was a really shocking elimination for Duke that year. But with that being said, coming up after this, Gavin's bread and butter, the women's basketball tournament. We'll take a look at his UConn Huskies as well as 3 other 1 seeds and see which one should be favored to win. Stay tuned. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this. Welcome back, everybody, here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. Great to be here again with all of you. Phone getting a little bit of a ring there. I saw it got picked up, so we're doing all right. But Hey, let's talk about it. Women's basketball tournament, the one seeds, UConn, NC State on the eastern side, and then of course you have Stanford, and then you have South Carolina on the opposing region. Look, this is going to be a fun tournament to watch. Coming at 24-1, I believe, right? 24-1, the UConn Huskies, and then of course, there's a lot of talented teams here. Just trying to look at a couple of other names on the list. Louisville sitting at 23-3 as a 2. You got Oklahoma State, which is also up here for this side. This is going to be a fun tournament. UConn's been dominant all year. They have destroyed teams. Texas A&M's over here at the 2. I've seen nothing but good signs from this team. Of course, one shout out I have to give Drexel, hometown men's and women's in the tournament this year. Going to be fun to watch them both. But Gavin, I'll ask you this: you're more the expert than I am. I'm trying to really focus and pay attention this year, getting my bracket filled out at the moment. So, what are your thoughts this year? Who's the favorite? What are we looking at for here in the women's NCAA basketball tournament?
Zach, you see this, right?
I do see it.
Okay, well, that's a favorite. Listen, when you have Paige Beckers, you have Avina Westbrook, you have Aaliyah Edwards, you have Nika Mule, who's playing fantastic defense. She played really great defense, had a scary injury in the Big East tournament that got me out of my chair. That's how terrified I was. Then Olivia Nelson-Ododa, who was sending shots back. She came into her own in the second part of the season where she started scoring more. Then was that it's just not about – it's about the bench too, and they had great talent all around. Are they the favorites? Of course they're going to be the favorites. Am I worried about not having Gino right away? I am. But Zach, 24-1, that looks impressive. But the one team that did beat them was Arkansas. You had to go back to that. Kristen Williams goes home to Arkansas for the first time in a while, and Chelsea Dungy ruins her home debut. Zach, if you want to talk about a dominant team that gets that took a hard loss to Arkansas, then dominates the field after that. And Zach, after that loss, they play South Carolina in stores. Zach, they beat South Carolina, who is really good. They have Zy Cook, they have Destiny Henderson, they have Aaliyah Edwards, they have Brianna Ville. Zach, that team was loaded, and they handled them with no problem. It was easy. It was tied at halftime, and then in the second half,
different story in the second half. I do recall that.
They just ran away from it. But Zach, UConn has to be the favorites, and me personally, UConn is a favorite. Then I have to give South Carolina because in the SEC tournament, Zach, UConn was blowing out every team in the Big East. That I actually turned some of the games off because I was like, well, I'm watching some more competitive. And I turned on South Carolina, and they just played amazing basketball. They took a loss to Texas A&M for the SEC championship regular season, and then you don't win that. So now you have to turn around and go to the tournament. They had something to prove. Zach, they come in. They went out. Okay, they played amazing basketball there. It's like those are my top two. That if I had to go 1 and 2, UConn's 1, and then South Carolina's 2. But there's a lot of teams you have to look out for. You have to look out for North Carolina's Deja Kelly. Okay, Zach, don't let the looks and beauty of her fool you. Zach, she can ball. She can give you 20 at any point in the night. Zach, then you have to go to Iowa, and it's not Luca Garza that we're talking about. Okay, it's Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was having an amazing season that no one knew about because she plays for Iowa. Zach, when you think of Iowa, who's the first one to come up? Luca Garza. Well, Zach, Caitlin Clark was dropping 27 after 27 after 27 after 27 and winning games, not as a higher rate, but she was winning games too. And Zach, a personal favorite, but behind UConn, I had to give Arkansas. Zach, Chelsea Dungy can give you 30 any night. Zach, she did it to my Huskies, and I was not happy about it. Zach, I think I told you the next day after it happened. So when you want to talk about a tournament that has a lot of great talent, a lot of high hopes, and a lot of great competitive, Zach, you talk about it can go one day, one team can have it, one team cannot have it. We're going to watch. I think this might be more exciting than the men's side. Zach, everybody played everyone this year. Georgia's competitive. Georgia has the highest rank in a long time. All right. They got a lot of SEC teams in there that can play basketball. You got UConn just tore up the Big East. And then you got Louisville. They got Haley Van Lith and a few others. You can't forget about them. They were number one for the longest time. And Stanford's playing great basketball as well. Zach, I'm ready for this one more than the men's side.
Throw NC State in there, and you got yourself the perfect storm. I think that there's a lot of really talented teams in this Arkansas. You take a look at, you mentioned Gavin, being able to take down the one loss for UConn. It's going to be fun to watch this. Of course, this tournament going to end up in the Spurs home stadium. down in San Antonio. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be fun to keep track of. It's going to be fun to watch. But with that being said, Gavin, again, you've got UConn on your list again. Look, and the comment said every underdog has their day. Are you worried that any team could come out with a hot hand and potentially be able to take down the UConn Huskies?
Well, of course I'm worried, Zach, because that's March Madness. That's the worry factor, Zach. Let's go back the game before Arkansas. Let's go to Tennessee. UConn versus Tennessee. Paige Beckers doesn't have the best shooting day. She hurts her ankle. Luckily, Vina Westbrook, it was a homecoming for her after leaving Tennessee. She goes back, has a game of her life or the season, and then Paige Beckers comes in and hits the game-winning shot to lift them over Tennessee and Renaya Davis in the crew. Zach, am I worried? Of course I am, because I've seen this team not hit shots, and I've seen them also hit their shots. Zach, the only thing that worries about more is that there's no Gino Ariano for the first 2 rounds, Zach. 2 rounds. Without arguably the best college, second best women's college basketball coach there is. But of course I'm worried, Zach. But am I worried about High Point? No, Zach, that's going to be a low point. All right, for them, it's going to be a low point because that's how bad High Point's probably going to be. Zach, UConn single-handedly beat Villanova, and that game was just out of the water. I'm talking, they were down by 30 points before halftime, Zach. It was crazy. So am I worried? Of course. Am I worried about Sunday? No, not worried. But talk to me after Sunday.
Let's talk about Sweet 16, Elite 8. That's really where it starts for some of these more competitive 1s and 2s. I'm excited for it. I got to fill out my bracket so I can give you my Final Four. I do believe I'll have UConn in there as well as Arkansas, and we'll see how else the rest of the bracket works.
A&M is also good too.
Filling out the women's side. I have the men's side filled out, of course. But, hey, I'm excited for it. We have the qualifying games, the last teams in, and then we will have the actual March Madness kickoff from there. I'm super excited for it. We will continue to cover it. With that being said, Gavin, anything else?
Yeah, I got 2 things for you, Zach. If you could give me a projected Final Four right now, who would you, for men's and women's side, what would you have? I just need to know.
All right, for women's, I'm going to go with NC State. I'm going to go with UConn, and then this is a tough one because I like Stanford, but when you have a team like Louisville on that side of the bracket, it's going to be tough. Because I like South Carolina. I can't count out South Carolina.
Dawn Staley's from Philadelphia, Zach. She's representing as the head coach.
All right, so I'm definitely going South Carolina, but I'm trying to think the top left of the bracket of the region. I like Stanford, and we got Drexel in there. That would be an interesting one to pick. I'm not going to pick Drexel.
Going home, sir. They're going home.
I'm not going to go my Philly bias. Do that. Northwestern's probably going to take them out early. I'm going to go with Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to beat Stanford, so I'm going with Arkansas for them, and then I'm going to go South Carolina, and then NC State and UConn. That's my Final Four, 3 1s and a 4. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'll tell you that right now.
Zach, my Final Four for this side is UConn at 1. I got South Carolina. I got Louisville. And Zach, I need one more. I do need one more. Where is it at? I had it right here. Then, what I say? South Carolina, Louisville, UConn. And I'm going to go.
Not to get NC State from that side?
No, sir. And I'm going to go. I think I'm going to roll with Arkansas with you, too.
I like Arkansas. I think
they
have championship DNA, in my opinion. The way that they took down the best team in the country, they have that DNA, that heart. We'll see if they can repeat the process. With that being said, by the way, just a quick note: the Phillies just lost 13-5. Aaron Noah continues to struggle in spring training, but
and we paid him. We paid him.
We'll cover that later. Back to the happy parts. We'll see if UConn can pull it off. With that being said,
real quick, Zach, before we go, one more thing too. I want to give a huge shout out to Patrick Ewing and 49 years of celebration of when they hired John Thompson.
Georgetown going back.
Georgetown wins the Big East tournament. Yeah, I guess Madison Square Garden knows who he is now. All right, that was ridiculous. What? Why? This is why I hate the Knicks, man. I know it has nothing to do with the Knicks. It's their building, man.
Was it nice to see Spike Lee back last night? He wasn't at the Garden. He was in the Barclays Center, but Spike Lee was there.
You want to go to the Garden too? I mean, I would go to the Garden.
Last night the Garden was being occupied by the Philadelphia Flyers, who for some reason need 5 goals to win a game.
I'll let Chris handle that. I don't know. But Zach, it was nice to see Spike Lee backcourt side screaming at his team. But Zach, how do you forget who Patrick Ewing is? He's 7-1. 7-1, and it's in the rafters. Patrick Ewing's frustration, I see it. Zach, that's
maybe the Scottie Pippen dunk knocks some memories out.
Well, maybe. You know, but was that in the Garden? It wasn't. No, that was in Chicago actually.
In Chicago.
I was in Chicago, so it doesn't
I
count.
just remember ESPN once it said when Scottie Pippen was on talking, it said once dunked really hard over Patrick Ewing, and I was like, it's cold.
Well, Zach, I will say this: when you have a guy like Patrick Ewing who's in the Raptors, you got Charles Oakley, who, by the way, was put in handcuffs and left. Then you kick out Spike Lee. It does not look good. It does not look good. Zach, you removed a fan, and I'm talking about the owner, Zach, and we need to spend a whole show on this. You removed a fan because they chanted, "Sell the team." Zach, I chant to the Phillies. I say, "Fire McClintock." I come in the show and say, "Fire Howard Roseman." Do you see them banning me from the Eagles and Phillies? No. Come on, James Dolan. Grow up. Stop acting like a child. All right? Fix your security. That's the one. If it was a regular person, I give you that, but fix your security and let's get better. All right? You don't want stories like this ruining the next somewhat okay season. Doesn't
a surprisingly good year. With that being said, we'll sign off because New York Knicks, Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia tonight. Our good friend Matty Cord on the call, of course, at the stadium with some fans back. Hopefully soon we'll get there, as the city of Philadelphia is expected to approve Pennsylvania's allowance for up to 50% fans outside and 25%. They're boosting that indoors as well. So stay tuned as we continue to watch that. Of course, pandemic far from over as the vaccine rollouts continue. I'm excited for the Phillies contrary to popular belief, but I believe there'll be a playoff team this year. Don't worry.
Do we have to see this in person? Do we have to see this in person?
I'll do it. I know you will.
I know. You know I will go. That's the sad part. I will go. Will I be impressed by it? I'll be disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. This team stinks. We're getting at another day. Zach, I don't know anymore. I don't know.
With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and have a great, great day.
Book night. Beckers, book it. We're going. Let's get it.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.